ওকে রূপঙ্কর, বলো। প্রথমে লাইনটা একটু বলো যাতে সবাই শুনতে পায়, আর তারপরে তোমার প্যারাফ্রেজটাই ডাইরেক্টলি বলো।
Children love to listen to stories about their elders when they were children to stretch their imagination to the conception of a traditionary great uncle or granddame whom they never saw.
হুম।
স্যার এটা হচ্ছে লাইন। এবার প্যারাফ্রেজিং আমি স্যার মানে 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 দুটো করেছি, আই মিন মানে আহ, যাই হোক। তো স্যার
হুম।
এটা হচ্ছে ফার্স্ট টাইম যেটা বলছি এখন।
হুম।
লিসনিং টু দ্য স্টোরিজ অফ গ্রেট আঙ্কেল অর গ্র্যান্ডেম whom when they were children stretches the imagination or conception of the children whom they never saw, or listening to the stories of a great uncle or granddame whom the children never saw builds their imagination or conception of that respective person.
ওকে, both of these summaries will be evaluated, but we will discuss this with the other people also. But let's hear from the other people here. Bobby Singh, are you done with your paraphrase?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you share? মানে বলো আর কি, যেটা ইংলিশে লিখেছো সেটা বলো। But yes, first tell me the line, or tell us the line slowly, the one that you are doing, and then tell us the paraphrase.
Sir Roger at church. I am always very well pleased with a country Sunday and think if keeping holy the seventh day were only a human institution, it would be the best method that could have been thought of from the policing and civilizing of mankind. And sir, I wrote that
Hmm.
Sir Rogers gets happy when Sunday arrives, and
Hmm.
Sunday, which is a holy day, would be enough for people to civilize them because it is the only day when people go to church and practice Christianity.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Aditya.
सर अभी अभी हुआ नहीं है सर।
Okay. Rajonna.
Yes, sir. Sir, the line is from Sir Roger at Church. First, worship the immortal gods as custom decrees. The
Mm-hmm.
paraphrasing.
Hmm.
Firstly, we should follow the customs and beliefs already established. আরেকটা Sir Roger at home থেকে
Hmm.
here plenty's liberal born shall horn shall pour of fruits for thee a copious shower, rich honors of the quiet plain. Eta here harvests will generously provide us with a lot of supply of fruits, offering rich rewards from the peaceful countryside.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm.
yeah.
All right. Next, Aditya, are you done? Just two lines, like they did. You don't need to write too much. This is just a practice. Okay, let's give some more time to Aditya, and let's first go to Rupankar. I think the second line, the second one that you wrote, the second paraphrase, makes more sense because now you are using your own words. Otherwise, in the first one, you were using the words from the text itself. So, as I said, there were a number of rules dealing with summary writing. There are some rule of thumb, there are some general rules for writing a paraphrase also. Number one, do not use the words that are there in the text. Avoid using all the words that are used already in the text. Use their synonyms, use their equivalents. Do not use the same words. That is something that takes away your marks. If the examiner finds that you are using the same word as from the text, then where is your contribution? What do you understand? Okay, so you need to use your own words. For example, say for in case of Rupankor's sentence, there is a word called stretches, right, Rupankor?
Yes, sir.
Huh. So instead of the word stretches, we might try to write um, elongates, reaches out, depending upon the situation. Whatever the situation is, we need to write according to the context, whatever the context is. Elongated will not be a correct word in this context. Can you tell the sentence once again, Rupankar, where the stretches part was?
Uh, yes, sir. I mean, yes. Children love to listen to stories about their elders when they were children to stretch their imagination to the conception of a traditionary great uncle or grandame,
Okay, okay,
or sorry,
okay. Wait, wait.
grandame.
The grand name, yeah. So, right. So, stretches their imagination. So, we can't say elongates their imagination. We can say their imagination reaches out. Like, sometimes we stretch to get something from a higher rack. So, we have to stretch in that kind of a stretch. So, when you write this, that the children like to hear stories about their parents when they were children, so that their imagination can stretch to a great grandfather or a great dame whom they had never seen, means that you have understood what the sentence is about. It is not like stretching, it's not like uh, a kind of a rubber or a rubber band that you're stretching. It's the imagination is getting stretched, you're reaching out for the great grandfather or the grandfather. Yes, of course, tense plays a huge role in all of this, but I'll come to that. I'll come to the tense. The first thing is that you should remember is that avoid using the words that are used in the text. One. Number two, avoid using the structure of the sentence in the text. You should write in your own structure. How? Say, for example, Rajonna, can you repeat your sentence? Just a few lines.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, the paraphrasing.
Na na na. Original text. The original
আচ্ছা
text.
স্যার রজারার চার্চ থেকে ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্শিপ দ্য ইমর্টাল গডস অ্যাজ কাস্টম ডিক্রিজ
Okay. First, worship the immortal gods as custom decrees. Uh, we can write in this way that as custom decrees, one should first worship, one should first devote themselves instead of worship to the the immortal deities or to the immortal gods. Again, deities will be wrong because Christians do not believe in idol worship, so we cannot really replace, but we can say instead of God, what can we say? Let's brainstorm. Goder জায়গায়, if we want to replace God, the word God, what
অলমাইটি
other? Huh? Almighty, yes.
অলমাইটি
Yes, yes, very good. Almighty, omnipotent, omnipresent. There are many words for God. Similarly, there could be many words for immortal also, undying, eternal. So,
আনালাই
unalive.
হ্যাঁ
Unalive? No, I mean, unalive will be like dead. So, no, I mean, an unalive will be a wrong word here. You mean to say that somebody who is not alive cannot die, something like that. But we have to choose our words carefully.
Yeah.
So instead of using the same verb, same word order, same structure, we need to use, we need to reverse it sometimes, but only in limits. Let's not overdo it. মানে করতেই হবে এরকম কোনো ব্যাপার নেই কিন্তু, but if you do it, it's good for the, it's a good practice. You can get more marks because the examiner will understand that not only have you understood the meaning of the words, but you have also understood the entire sentence as a whole, paragraph as a whole. Okay, because paraphrasing is basically done to understand another text better. So if you can change the structure, then it is understood that you have understood the text cleanly and clearly. Okay, that's the second thing. Now, coming to Rupankor's question. Yes, when you are writing a paraphrase, by default, things will become in the past. Because you are not the author, you are as if you are kind of reporting. However, what will happen if it's a dialogue? What do you think, Rupankar?
স্যার আপনি কি বললেন,
যদি
রিপিট
ধরো
করেন ভালো হয়।
ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে যে প্যারাফ্রেজ যখন করছি সব কিছুই পাস্ট টেন্সে চলে যাবে, বিকজ অ্যাজ ইফ উই আর রিপোর্টিং ইট। দ্য অথর সেজ, দ্য অথর সেড দ্যাট, that will be the usual way of representing, that is the usual way of writing a paraphrase. But what if it's a dialogue? Should we follow the general principle of turning everything into simple past or past perfect or something like that, or will there be a change in the case of dialogue? What about the other three, the seniors? What happens in a dialogue? Well, in a dialogue, the narration change and the rules of narration change will be applied. Again, it will be made into past as far as possible. If the reporting verb, that is the verb outside the sentence, is in past tense, then the speech and the reported verb will become past, and so on and so forth. Past ta present ta past hoye jabe, past ta past perfect hoye jabe, so on and so forth. So when you write the paraphrase, of course you have to um, you have to use your own tense, which is usually past, because say for example, dream children, the lines in the dream children, which I think are actually in the simple present tense, but when you write like this: the author said, or the author says, that children used to like to hear the stories of their parents when they were children. So in this case, we can still take it in a simple present tense. But in certain cases, say in Sir Roger at Home, Aditya had written a summary where he had turned the entire thing into past. Roger went to the home, Roger went to, sorry, the writer went to Sir Roger's home, went, not gone or not going. Okay, so it depends, Rupankar, to answer your question. it all depends on the context. It all depends on the thing that you are paraphrasing. But in general, it is safe to paraphrase in the simple past tense by writing the author said, the author means to say, the author thought, like that. Okay, but again, depending upon the situation. Next is um, paraphrasing also involves writing the meaning of the individual words separately. If you might have seen in your guidebooks and things like that, that there was a glossary of words from a single paragraph. Especially we had a tough time dealing with Milton's Paradise Lost. If you remember, I don't know if you have read Milton's Paradise Lost. When I was
Yes,
doing
he
my
was father famous.
huh, so when I was doing my graduation, Milton's Paradise Lost book 1, complete book 1 was there in our syllabus, and we had a very hard time trying to understand what the words meant. And all the guidebooks, cheap guidebooks, they made these paragraphs, and then they provided the word meanings which could have been wrong or right, who knows. But paraphrasing involves a step in paraphrasing involves writing down the meaning of the individual words. For example, um, devotion or worship. So worship, you write devotion. Okay, and then say God, you write the omnipotent force, or the almighty, but separately, not in the paragraph that you are paraphrasing, but you change the line after you're done paraphrasing the paragraph. You change the line, you pick out the words which needs to be defined. There could be words which doesn't need to be defined at all. For example, in Ruponkor's case, there's a word called grand dame. Now, grand dame means grandmother, but grand dame is kind of obsolete now. So we need to explain to our readers that grand dame is grandmother. But in Bobby's case, or in Aditya's case, or in Rajodna's case, there might not be any word which needs to be explained. So we will not do something over and start explaining something that is very obvious, like God or worship. Okay, let's not uh, define the obvious, but if some words require the definition, then we should define it. Okay. um, as I said, if there are difficult words, if a word you find that is difficult for yourself, then you will assume that it is difficult for other readers also. As I already said, that paraphrase should be done, or paraphrase is usually done so that people can easily understand the meaning of a particular uh, text. So if it is difficult for you, then you will assume that the word is difficult for the other readers also, and then you will try to define it. But Rupam to say, if you are trying to say, if you have a paragraph and you do not know yourself the meaning of the word, then can you define it? Of course you can't. But for that you need to practice. For that you need to have a good backup of vocabulary. It's like going on a trip with only 25% of battery. So if you have 90%, 80% of battery in your mobile phone, then you can go for a long distance where you know that there is no charger. It's paraphrasing is like that. You need to charge your vocabulary mobile as much as possible. You should learn as many words as possible and their meanings. Only then will you get good marks in paraphrasing. because even when you want to paraphrase, you need to have a large number of words available to you so that you can use a supplementary word to the word that you find in the text. না হলে তো মানে প্যারাফ্রেজিং করতেই পারবে না। প্যারাফ্রেজ করার জন্য তোমার একটা ভালো স্টক অফ ওয়ার্ডস থাকতে হবে, একটা ভালো ভোক্যাবুলারি থাকতে হবে, যেটা আশা করা যায় অ্যাজ স্টুডেন্টস অফ লিটারেচার ইউ অলরেডি হ্যাভ অর ইউ আর ইন দ্য প্রসেস অফ অ্যাকোয়ারিং। ঠিক আছে, এবার যেটা আগেও বলেছিলাম, প্যারাফ্রেজিং ইজ অল অ্যাবাউট প্র্যাকটিস। যত প্র্যাকটিস করবে তত ভালো হতে থাকবে, যত কম প্র্যাকটিস করবে পরীক্ষার সময় গিয়ে ডাইরেক্টলি ওখানে বসে এদিক ওদিক থেকে হল কালেকশন তো এটা হবে না, কারণ প্যারাফ্রেজিং ইজ ভেরি ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল। ঠিক আছে, তবে অনেকে ওই যেটা আগের লোক লিখছে সেটাই লিখে দেয়, আর ওই 10 যদি থাকে তাহলে সেখানে 2-3 বসিয়ে দেয় টিচাররাও। বাট ইফ you want to get more marks, if you want to get good grades, then you need to practice and you need to have a good stock of words, so that not only can you replace the words in the text but you can also define them. এই যে ডেফিনেশনের যে স্টেপটা, সেটা 90% স্টুডেন্টরা করবে না, কারণ এক তো তারা মানেগুলো জানবে না, কারণ তাদের ভোক্যাবুলারি খারাপ, দ্বিতীয়ত তারা জানেই না যে এই স্টেপটা আছে প্যারাফ্রেজিং। ঠিক আছে, you need to explain the phrases. Finally, there is one more thing যেটা প্যারাফ্রেজিং এ অ্যাড করা যেতে পারে, সেটা হচ্ছে just a line about the style। যদি করতে পারো, মানে এটা তখনই হবে যদি সিরিয়াসলি প্র্যাকটিস করো, আদারওয়াইজ হট করে একদিন, মানে আজকে যদি তোমাদেরকে আমি বলি যে এইখান থেকেই যে সেন্টেন্সেসগুলো তোমরা ইউজ করলে সেইখান থেকেই তোমরা স্টাইলের ব্যাপারে একটা সেন্টেন্স লেখো, যে হোয়াট ইজ দ্য স্টাইল, হাউ ডু ইউ আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড ইট, ইট উইল বি ডিফিকাল্ট ফর ইউ, ইট উইল বি ডিফিকাল্ট ফর মি অলসো, বাট if we keep writing then we will understand আচ্ছা এই স্টাইলে এটা লেখা হয়েছে। ডাইডাক্টিক স্টাইল হয় যেখানে জ্ঞান দেওয়া হয়, তারপরে স্যাটাইরিক্যাল হয় যেখানে বিদ্রুপ করা হয়, স্যাটায়ার করা হয়, পোকিং ফান হয়, প্লেন অ্যান্ড সিম্পল স্টাইল হয়, কমপ্লিকেটেড হয়, স্যাড হতে পারে, স্যাডনেস এক্সপ্রেস করছে, স্যাড লাইন্স, এগুলো হতে পারে। তো একটা প্যারাগ্রাফ থেকে আমরা কিছুটা আন্দাজ করতে পারবো যে কিভাবে, কেন এটা লেখা হচ্ছে, কি লেখা হচ্ছে, হোয়াট ইজ দিস থিং অ্যাবাউট। বাট দিস ইজ অপশনাল, মানে ইট উইল বি সুপার গ্রেট ইফ ইউ ক্যান রাইট দিস অ্যাট দ্য এন্ড, দ্যাট I believe, or it is understood, that the paragraph is written in a very simple and lucid language, typical of middle Victorian style, or typical of neoclassical style, or typical of modern crisp style, or Elizabethan rich style। এরকম বিভিন্ন ধরনের স্টাইলের ব্যাপার আছে, যেটা তোমরা বিভিন্ন ধরনের টেক্সট তোমরা পড়েছো, 4th সেম স্পেশালি তোমরা এলিজাবেথন পড়েছো, তোমরা নিও ক্লাসিক্যাল পড়ছো, এখন রোম্যান্টিক পড়েছো, মডার্ন পড়ছো বা পড়েছো। তো প্যারাগ্রাফটাকে পড়তে পড়তেই তোমরা বুঝে যাওয়া উচিত তোমাদের যে এটা কোন, মোটামুটি কোন এজের এটা হতে পারে, কি কি ধরনের ওয়ার্ডস ইউজ করা হয়েছে সেটার থেকে। হ্যাঁ, লাইক দ্য কনক্লুশন, ইয়েস, লাইক দ্য কনক্লুশন। আর এইটাই আমরা ক্যারি ফরওয়ার্ড করব হচ্ছে ক্রিটিক্যাল অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েশনে, কারণ ক্রিটিক্যাল অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েশনেরও কনক্লুশনে এই জিনিসটা আমি তো বলবো যে মাস্ট এখন তোমাদের ক্ষেত্রে, স্পেশালি 4th সেমিস্টারের ক্ষেত্রে, যে হোয়াট ডু ইউ থিঙ্ক অ্যাবাউট দ্য স্ট্যান্জা, or what do you think about the poem or the prose section, your evaluation, just a line, single line। ধরো আজকের ক্লাসটা তোমরা করলে, ক্লাসটা করে তোমরা বললে যে টুডে দ্য ক্লাস ওয়াজ মোর বোরিং দ্যান ইউজুয়াল। ঠিক আছে, তো তোমাদের একটা ইভ্যালুয়েশন, তো তোমরা বললে যে দিস লাইন্স আর ভেরি ডিফিকাল্ট even for a student of literature to understand because of the learned allusions that are used in the text. It's completely your view and no one is going to file with you regarding what your views are. In fact, teachers will be very happy if you can express your own views about a thing that you are reading. ঠিক আছে, ওকে, এনি কোয়েশ্চেন্স? আর প্র্যাকটিস করার জন্য তোমাদের কাছে প্রচুর মেটেরিয়াল আছে। সেকেন্ড সেম, ফোর্থ সেম তোমাদের পোয়েমস, এসেজ, শর্ট স্টোরিজ, ড্রামা যা পারো প্যারাফ্রেজ করতে শুরু করো। পড়াকে পড়াও হবে, প্র্যাকটিসকে প্র্যাকটিসও হবে, দেখাতেও পারো আমাকে। হ্যাঁ আদিত্য বলো। বলো
सर
আদিত্য।
ये मैं एलिजी रिटर्न इन अ कंट्री चर्चयार्ड का फर्स्ट 4 लाइन का पैराफ्रेज किया हूँ।
हाँ बोलो।
तो पहले सर ये लाइन में बोलूँ उसके बाद पैराफ्रेज?
हाँ एक एक लाइन बोलो। एक एक लाइन का अलग अलग पैराफ्रेज किया है कि चारों लाइन का एक साथ पैराफ्रेज किया है?
सर एक साथ ही है।
एक साथ, अच्छा ठीक है। तो पहले लाइंस बोल दो फिर पैराफ्रेज बोलो।
The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd winds slowly over the lea. The
वाइंस,
ploughman
उसका उच्चारण होगा वाइंस।
yes, winds. The ploughman homeward plods his weary way and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Sir,
ओके।
इसका paraphrase. It was an evening time. The poet is standing in the churchyard. The ringing of the curfew bell is heard. A herd of cattle from pasture started returning home. Farm workers, after hard work, started going homes, indicating that the activities of day time are drawing to a close. The poet is then left alone to contemplate the isolated rural scene.
ओके ओके, आई लाइक इट। यस, गुड। दिस इज a near perfect paraphrase. If you have done it on your own, Aditya, it's very good. But if you took the help of some AI or something, fine. But do it on your own always. Okay, but it's really nice.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else that you would like to say or know? Bolo, Bobby.
Sir, we can't write paraphrase in simple present tense, in
Yes.
present indefinite tense. Sir, I mean, sir, that we can't write in present indefinite tense.
Yes, we can. Definitely we can. But say in the case of Aditya. Aditya wrote in simple present tense. He wrote contemplates, observes. However, the text itself is quite old. But he found that the context requires simple present tense, present indefinite tense. You can. These are all rules of thumbs. When I say that you must change, you need to change, you should change the words, then I'm not saying that what can you do if you cannot find another word? What can you do if you cannot change the structure? These are all general rules. That does not mean that you have to follow them like to the T. You don't have to follow them religiously. But I told you that in general what happens is when you paraphrase, you change from simple present tense to simple past tense sometimes in general. Not always. If you are comfortable with simple present tense, fine, no problem. Okay.
So, sir, it means that it depends on me.
Yeah, it depends on you, it depends on the context. It depends upon the context. Say for example, you are paraphrasing a newspaper report. Oh, a newspaper report. So what happens in a newspaper report is that the event had happened earlier and now you are writing the paraphrase of it, of what you understood. So the event had happened. So if you write that the train collides, the engine of the goods train collided with the Kanchenjunga Express, collides with the Kanchenjunga Express, then the examiner might cut your marks because you are not following the time. You need to write that according to the report, uh, the goods train or the goods engine collided with the Kanchenjunga Express. Okay, so it's up to you, but you also need to take into consideration the context. Is it a report that you're
Okay, sir.
paraphrasing? Is it some action that had happened in the past that you're paraphrasing? Okay. Alright, so let's meet maybe tomorrow in another class where we will be discussing critical appreciation, and bye for now.